When I felt like the burden was more than I could hold. When the whispers of worry overwhelmed my soul, you never left me alone. You were there all along.
checking this video out. If you're new tonight, I'm checking this out and checking out what we're doing at Neighborhood Youth. And you can DM us on Instagram and we can put you into a small group that's meeting together online. We call those Zoom crews. And this week, we started going through a mini-series, and we started back on Monday, and all this week we're going through a mini-series that the Bible Project has put together. They're an animation studio out of Portland. They make amazing stuff. And they put together a mini-series on the story of Jesus and the early Christians. It's in the books of the Bible that are known as Luke and Acts. And some of you were tracking with us, and I actually really liked some of the questions that came out of it this week. I was hearing from some of the students out there when you probably saw some of them on our Instagram. But Aubrey was one of our students, and she brought up this question. It was on our Instagram, but she asked about, what do you think that the significance was of Jesus being born into an impoverished family, right? At the beginning of Jesus' story, he's not born into a rich and powerful family. He's born into a family that's not rich, not powerful, right? They're impoverished. They're living in a nation that is under oppression from a foreign country that is ruling over them. That's where the story of Jesus starts. And what's the significance of that? That must be important in some way. A couple days later, Karis, another one of our students, asked the question in relation to the next parts of the Jesus story. What do you think the significance was of the arrival of Jesus being first announced to people who were social outcasts, and they were on the lower rung of society, the shepherds, right? And this is remember, part of the Christmas story we hear when the angels announce the birth of Jesus to the shepherds. This could have been announced instead when Jesus is first born. It could have been something that God announced to people who were important or influential, or people who would be more likely to listen when they were spreading the word. People were more likely to listen to someone who's influential when they're spreading the word about something. But shepherds, or these social outcasts, these people in the low rung of society, they're probably not going to really be listened to that much. So what's the significance of that? Another student, Andrew, noticed that when Jesus is talking later on, when he's going through doing his ministry and his teachings, when Jesus is talking about the importance of loving people who are not like us, and not just caring for the people who are like us, Andrew asked the question that if you all, as high school students, are primarily young and healthy, then what does it look like for you to show love to those who actually may be more susceptible, like with a compromised immune system and in danger at this time? Like, what does it look like to show love to them in this time? And that forces us to have some creative thinking, like, oh, that's a good question. I should think about that. What does it look like for me as a healthy person to show love to them right now? It's important. So with all these different things coming up from different students, what it seems to be standing out in these early episodes of the story of Jesus is how much of a focus there is on Jesus bringing good news to the poor, to the outcasts, the rejects, and the weaker of society. Right? Jesus, when he's going around, we see that he has these dinner parties with people who are considered poor or unclean or bad or hurting or diseased, etc. And he is seeking to show them love and acceptance, and he's going and being with them. And he's criticized for this by the people who are supposed to be religiously devoted, morally upright. They're supposed to be clean-cut and popular and powerful and the strong in society. But then also, Jesus has dinner with these popular, strong, supposedly devoted and upright people. He has dinner with them too. And he calls out their attitude of superiority and points out that the way they are living is actually keeping these people down, who have been outcasts or losers or weak or whatever it may be. So Jesus is challenging this thing that keeps going on, where there are people in power above and people that are not in power below, and these people are kind of being crushed by the people above, and there's oppression. And Jesus is constantly wanting to flip that on its head with how he spends time with people and cares for them. So, tonight in Zoom Cruise, here's what I hope we could talk about. Whether you've done the readings or not, you don't feel like you have to jump in and catch up. You can jump in with us at any point. We'll have these continuing to go up on our Instagram each day during these weeks here to go through this mini-series together through the story of Jesus in the early church. It's so cool that we could be going through this together. But here's what I want you guys to talk about tonight. What makes someone considered above or better than another person in our world? Like, what is it about them that makes them seem like they are kind of like the person on top? And specifically think about that like in your friend groups, in our world, in your age group, at your school, when we were in school, all right? What does that look like? What is it about them that makes them the person that's above another? Second thing, if Jesus were to walk around your school, who do you think he would be seeking to show love and acceptance to? And who do you think that he would be calling out for an attitude of superiority? And maybe most importantly, how do you think he would relate to you? What do you think that encounter would be like? And I also want to know and hear from you guys in Zoom Cruise, what do you think about Aubrey's and Karis's and Andrew's questions from earlier, right? What's the significance of Jesus being born into an impoverished family? What's the significance of him being announced first to people who are social outcasts? And then, if Jesus is calling us to love people who are not like us, how can we show love particularly to people who may be more vulnerable, more in danger than us at this time? So, talk through some of that. And this week, we're continuing to go through our mini-series through Luke and Acts every day this week. So I'd love to hear from you more of what your thoughts and questions are. It could be through Instagram. You could shoot me a text if you have my number. But I want to hear from you as you watch the videos and or read the passages. I want to know what hits you. Because you see, what's not important is that you all come here and listen to my thoughts. That's actually not very important. But what is important is that you all come here to share your own thoughts. That this place is a place that is for you, that is safe to ask any question, share any thought or opinion. And that's what your small group, your Zoom crew, is for. And what is important is that going through these videos or readings together is a way that we can all be not alone in our spiritual lives, especially right now when we could easily feel like we are isolated, where God could feel distant, and our relationship with Jesus can easily just be pushed to the back burner. So let's do this. Have a conversation tonight in Zoom Cruise, and let's start tracking through this mini-series, through this story together this week. You've got time. Substitute a little bit of Netflix time for some of this, and we can actually share in some of this story together. Be really cool. So thank you all for checking this video out. Love you guys, and I'll see you all in Zoom Cruise.